Hello and very warm welcome to all of you on this webinar with the topic accessibility, cost or revenue. A very, very important subject, and I'm thrilled to be moderating this talk, this lunch. I hope that you have had something to eat or are eating as you listen to this. But I do want to encourage you, if you have you can have your picture on or not, your video on or not. Please put off your sound, be muted, so we don't have all these people wanting to interfere with the interesting topics and presentations that we will have. But use the chat and ask questions, comment, come with input or whatever you want. We will try to answer all the questions during this hour. If not, we will gather all the questions and answer and send out in an email to all of you later on. But be active. This is an important question, and I am representing the company Altitude Meetings, and we are doing this with Handiscover, and it's I can just underline how important this is, and it's already been an eye-opener for us. We are doing meetings and conferences, and we have obviously a lot to learn, and so this is going to be a very great hour. So some practical information. You already got the information about putting your sound off and using the chat. And with this, if you have any questions about your, if your Zoom link or whatever doesn't work or you don't hear, please use the chat and ask. My colleagues will answer those questions for you. But with this said, I will introduce the host of the day. So please welcome Sébastien Archambault from Handiscover.
Hello and welcome everybody today. This is a very special day for us in general as a community and as Handiscover, because December 3rd is the International Day of People with Disability. And basically we really wanted as Handiscover to highlight our community and whether they have a disability that is visible or hidden. And that's also something we wanted to highlight, is that to make people aware, 70% of disability are not visible. And that's something for all of us to reflect upon. Handiscover started as a marketplace to facilitate for disabled travelers to discover the world, also trying to inspire them with a lot of content and so on. Now we are also taking on a new journey of helping businesses to better address and understand accessibility and disability, because we are convinced that we can together help society in general to understand that accessibility and disability is not only a cost, but can also be a great source of revenues for businesses, for cities, for regions, for countries. And we hope that with this webinar, we will inspire you a bit further.
Thank you so much. And as you said, this is actually, as in the topic, cost or revenue. And I think this is what we're going to listen to during this hour, because it's really a benefit. You all know that, if we mix the different minds, experiences, thoughts, backgrounds, whatever you have, you will get that mix that actually can help you innovate, find new business opportunities, be a better place, whatever you do offer. So this is a possibility. And I think we will show this in our talks coming up. And as our first speaker to give us a little bit inspiration, I will want to welcome Sandberg Falk from Ikea. And she's going to share a little bit about their experiences, how they have been working. So Anna, please take the screen.
Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me here. I'm Anna, and I work as a curator at Ikea Museum in Edinburgh. And let me see if I can share my screen, and I will tell you a little bit about a project we did. So this is the reason why I'm invited here today. Almost exactly a year ago, we opened an exhibition called Everybody at Ikea Museum in Edinburgh, which is where I'm today, actually. And here's an installation view. And this exhibition was an exhibition that focused on the body, inclusive design, and how that can be a way to create a simpler everyday life for everybody. And I mean, I work for Ikea, and we are dedicated to making the everyday life better for everybody. But now this was more about really clever design. And I think the catchphrase that it's born when we see the world through the eyes of others became really important to us, because this whole exhibition was actually about changing perspective and seeing that there are a lot of different ways that you can approach the world and every day. And what we started with actually was that we concluded that there are some things that actually unite us, that are common for everybody. And that is that we come in some kind of physical bodily shape, and that we have an everyday life. Those two things are really, we can't escape them, but they look different. Our bodies look different, they function differently, and our everydays look different. So there was our starting point. We all have different challenges, and as Sebastian just said, some are visible, some aren't, some are small and some are big, but we can all need help sometimes. And design is actually a way of making our lives easier. And that was the vision with the exhibition. How can design really improve our everyday life? And we realized also that while we might be experts at furniture and at the museum, we are good at making exhibitions, but we needed some extra knowledge, and we needed experts that actually live the everyday life, that have some extra difficulties perhaps. So we invited 11 inspiring experts, and this is one of them, Aron Andersson. He is an adventurer, an athlete, a lecturer, and really amazing. And we asked our experts to come to Stockholm. We filmed them while we interview them, and the question to them was really, who are you and what is your everyday life about? Because I think the key here is actually the everyday life, the small things that we do repeatedly, the small things that if they work, everything runs smoothly, and if they don't, it becomes a struggle, unnecessary perhaps. Because we really wanted to capture these experts, and we wanted them to be present in the exhibition during this whole time. So the content of the exhibition was these 11 experts telling about their life and their stories. We created a set of installations for our visitors where we asked them to dare to challenge themselves and their senses. How can you experience things from a different perspective? And of course, we wanted also to talk about some IKEA stories. And one of the things we highlighted was the Omtänksam collection. So this is an example of really literally walking in somebody else's shoes. These are shoes we were very kindly allowed to borrow from the Neuro Association in Kronoberg. And those shoes look really ordinary, but they are actually meant to be a way of understanding how it is to live with multiple sclerosis, how that could feel, because one of the shoes is filled with sand and kind of heavy, and the other one is just an ordinary sneaker. So that was one way of really making this a physical experience, to try these shoes on and get an understanding of how can this be. You have something that makes it really difficult to walk, perhaps. And here we see Fatmir. Hey Fatmir, nice to be here with you. Fatmir was also one of our expert stars in this exhibition. And here he is feeling how this really high-tech prosthetic runner's leg is. And this is one of the challenges actually with making an exhibition where you can touch things, because we usually just make exhibitions that are, something that you take in with your eyes. What if you don't have that sense? So this was also a part of the exhibition. These legs were lent to us by Uni that works with aesthetic colors, and how also that's a really an area where design, of course, is really important to create good aesthetic legs. And this is the Ontegsam collection. It's a collection that might look really like any other furniture, but the collection is made together with ergonomists, physiotherapists, and really looking into how can we build these smart functions into items that anybody would like, that we can use, where you have chairs that it's easy to get up and out of, where you have glasses and cutlery that's easy to grip, etc. Something that you can use whenever in life. And as a conclusion, because we learned a lot from this exhibition, I think what we realized quite quickly working with this, and it wasn't just me, I mean, we were a big team, is that if you want to talk about accessibility, you also need to try to live it. And that means, I think, many times that you need to rethink how you have always done things, and just lose that idea that it's going to be, it has worked before, it will work again. Because what we realized then when we started to open up is that nobody loses from making something accessible. It only makes it better for everybody. And we also learned that this change of perspective is something we need to work with a lot more and allow for. And also dare to meet people that challenge us and our ideas of how things are done. And we have Fatmir did workshops with the visitor experience team that works with meeting the customer at the museum, and also with our colleagues at Ikea Hotel here in Malmö. And then I think the important thing also was you have to listen. And we did this exhibition with our hearts. We still love it. And I'm so happy that it actually gets to live on after its closing. I mean, we met people and we listened to their stories and we told about them. And then it really resonated with our visitors, and they got an experience that I think was not maybe what you expect from a museum, but something that was really, you could take with you and you could apply it in your everyday life, this change of perspective. So I think that's the absolutely most important thing. And thank you. That was my presentation.
Thank you very much, Anna. This is really interesting. It might be someone has just noted that it's the sound has been a little bit, I don't know what to say, but I hope that you got a lot of from the presentation, and hopefully we can send out this presentation maybe. Anna, is that okay?
Yes, definitely. Yes. Of course we can do.
Yes, because it's really interesting, and you're pointing out that really extra thing that when you start thinking and actually using these experts, you get a broader both understanding and also making something more out of it that actually benefits everyone, no matter what you have. So I think this is a really interesting way to actually make things better. And
I think definitely, and I think it's the dangerous thing or the boring thing is that you get stuck in how you have always done it, and it has worked before. And I think that was really a game changer to realize that it doesn't have to be that difficult to do it in another way, but you can just, if you think new and you look at it from a different perspective, it will just get better.
Thank you so much, and be inspired of this. And I think this is a message to everyone that really think about, is this a cost or a revenue? Because what this is all about is that we are actually opening up towards both a broader customer range, but also getting new thoughts and ideas, as I said before, in an innovative way of thinking how to produce different products and so forth. So take this with you and have this in mind when trying to deal in your mind if this is a cost or revenue. And we will talk more about this in a panel coming up. I just want you to be a little bit more active in in the chat, and I would like you to answer 2 questions. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how accessible do you think your business is today? I know that we have to rethink how we are doing it. So, as I said before, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how accessible do you think your business is today? And be honest, it doesn't matter if you write 10, it's only you who knows. So write it honestly. And the other question I want you to answer is, do you believe that accessibility will help your company compete in the job market? So have those questions with you, and I will go over to the sofa here, and we will invite this panel. And with me, I have Magnus Berglund, accessibility expert at Handiscover on Link. I have Sebastian, who's been with us before, and I have here in the sofa Fatmir Seremeti, Inside Vision and athlete, lecturer, author. Do you have everything?
Entrepreneur also.
Yes,
thank you.
Definitely. The list never kind of ended. So, and welcome Magnus and Sebastian again. And I'm happy to have you on this panel where we're going to talk a little bit more about the revenue cost discussion. And I would like to start with all of you actually, and actually starting with Magnus. Why should I gather that a lot of companies ask, why should I invest in accessibility? I mean, besides that it's a law that you need to in a certain to a certain level, but I guess that a lot of people say, well, I never have any customers with any disabilities. Well, you don't see half of them, as Sebastian said before, but I just follow the rules. Is that good enough, Magnus? What do you say?
No, it's not good enough. But I'm thinking if you don't do it, you're going to lose business. And it's so funny because when I've been out and speaking a lot, I always ask the group when I speak for, and I ask them, why should we having guests with disability? And I get maybe 5 or 6 up to 10 different answers. Then I ask them, why should we have guests that is not disabled? Yeah, because we want to do business. So just because we mention the word disability, we're always taking something else on. We're forgetting to see that everyone is a guest, everyone is a client, everyone is a guest. So I think many of things we should not focus so much about the disability and focus on the person and asking, what do I need to do for you to be my guest? And that's really the big thing.
The persons. Here we go. Fatmir, what do you say about that?
Well, actually, I believe that we have to see this whole accessibility challenge in a whole new way. In business, we talk a lot of investments, and those investments will give us a return, a revenue, and that is how I see accessibility. But for us to be able to do that, we have to put all of this into some other perspective. All the people with disabilities, every one of us, we wear clothes, we buy food, we use banking, we travel, we do all of the stuff that everyone else do. But what we need is a level of accessibility to be able to do all of this in our own terms. So there is the business. We can start there.
And just as I have you online, so to say, what does accessibility mean for you as a lecturer, elite athlete, and as a private person?
Well, mainly it's about inclusion in society, inclusion in and being able to have control of my own life, of my own finances, of my own everyday life. As an athlete, I've had the honor of representing Sweden in 3 consecutive Paralympics, in Beijing, London, Rio de Janeiro, and I've seen the power of the Paralympics, what it means for 5,500 athletes and staff to like live in a kind of small city within a city, and the impact that this makes on all levels of society in those cities. For the first time, for example, in Beijing, you can see elevators and accessibility features. You see in London, for example, the work market has opened its eyes for people with disabilities, and see that people with disabilities can contribute, and that we can be a force to be reckoned with. And we see in many cases how accessibility has made people, be more inclusive.
And this is obviously, I mean, we have a problem in including people as it is. I mean, we are pretty good and just talking to people in our very close network. And as we know, again, in broadening that with different minds and perspectives, we will have better businesses, not only by doing it more accessible, but actually bringing in different views into it. So what would you say is the biggest advantage in also on the employment side to actually include more people with different disabilities, but it's also a strength into the organization?
Well, actually, I used to say, when I have my lectures, I used to say that if you have a business and you have a problem, you should definitely contact a person with a disability, because if there is if there is anything we are really great at, is finding solutions to different things every day.
Exactly.
Every day we have challenges that we have to find different solutions, and it's not always the obvious solution that is good. So you have to really think how to make solutions for different kind of problems, and the best way to get accessibility into a workplace, into a business, into a product, or whatever, is actually to have employed people that have all sorts of disabilities. Today we don't know, due to integrity issues, we don't know how many actually works with that has disabilities. But what we know in Sweden, like about 53% of the people with disabilities that are available for the job market is out of work. We have people who has higher scores on university points than doctors do, but still are unemployed.
Which is, I mean, it is a scandal. And as I love what you're saying in the start, that this problem-solving skill, I mean, that is just what we really need. I mean, we just have a crisis right now, but we probably need it in very many situations. So this is actually something to bring with you. You have a problem-solving ability that I think could be used in so many cases. I want to just go back to Sebastian, and I mean, you are behind the Handiscover, this company. Why did you start this? Why is this important to help companies to be better?
Yeah, so on my side, I would do a different side. The first main driver for me to start Handiscover was the fact that I have a son with a muscle disease, and basically, as he's been growing up and his disease is increasing and his needs for accessibility increase, we realized how challenging it was for him and for us as a family to travel the world. So that was what kickstarted the idea of Handiscover, basically. But I think going back even to the more kind of hardcore business facts, what I think is important for people to be aware and businesses to be aware is that the fact that people with disability are not a tiny niche. I'm meeting so many investors who are surprised. They think that disability, because they do not see people with disability, maybe not frequent people with disability, think that it's like 1% of the population, and okay, yeah, maybe I do good from time to time, and I try to do something for my conscience, so more applying the CSR thoughts, or trying to meet the UN goals or some kind, but missing the sheer business figures. And in Handiscover, it's what I liked is that we have most of our investors are not social investors. So they are not there to do social good. They are there because they see a business opportunity in Handiscover. And they see that because they've realized as us that our community represents roughly 20% of the population and is growing fast because we have an aging population. We know that more than half of the people above 60 or 65 years old have some kind of disability. So whether you like it or not, people with disability is a booming target group, basically. And it's already big, it will only grow. And so whether you do that for a CSR reason or for pure business reason, you just can't count without us, basically. And
I think you're right
that's
on
the
target
fact.
when you're saying that we can't do it because we are nice to people. I mean, it's good to be nice to people. I hope that everyone want to be nice, but this is about, I mean, as you said, both of you, this is a business opportunity as well. I mean, you're going to have this unique selling point in actually, addressing certain target groups and opening up. And as Ikea Anna said, also you are going to also make it interesting for so many more people that you don't even know would appreciate this. So I think it's, bring that in your mind that this is something more than just being nice. It's like we are talking diversity in general and not actually including these questions as Fatmir and I have talked about that we are sometimes bad at, but actually looking at the broader picture. I think it's a win-win situation. I would like to ask Magnus, because we have a question here on the chat, and I know that you have a long experience from the hotel business. And what would you say is the most important thing to do more attractive, I mean, to appealing to these different target groups or customer groups that we are talking about?
I mean, it was little what you and me were speaking of before this meeting, that this is for everyone. I mean, it's so funny because we're always thinking that I'm not going to be disabled, that. And I've been out and speaking, I'm also asking everyone that want to be disabled, please put up your hand, and no one do that. And if you're going to be 75 years old, that everyone want to be, that's 70% going to have some sort of disability. So this is important for everyone that we work with. And another thing I want to go back to is investment, because we're always thinking about disability need to cost so much money. And it don't need to cost no more money if you do it when you start building the first time and if you include things. But there's so many small things that we can doing already right now. If you're going in your office that you and me were speaking about yesterday, can you take in your cup of coffee from the coffee machine? Many times you can't do that from a wheelchair. So rent a wheelchair, borrow a wheelchair, go around your office, you get to see small things. And that's really the big thing, because I know when I was starting work with this for 70 years ago, many people, and I was joking and said that people in wheelchair only drink tea, because in the most hotel I was, all the time the tea was down at the buffet and the cup of coffee was so high up so you couldn't reach it. So it's all about to change our way to working, and that's really the big thing. It's not always about the building. The building is important, but it's most important is how we work with these things, how we see people and starting asking people, what do you need? And that's really the big thing is.
And I think that was really eye-opening for me. I actually looked in also at home, where do I have my coffee or tea cups? And actually, we do have them on the same, place, at least
and
here
that
at
don't
the
cost
office.
any money to put down. It don't cost any money, but you need to change your way to working.
Exactly.
That's the same way. If I break my leg and going to a hotel, it's very good if the reception just asks me, do you need to share to sit in the shower? They normally don't do that, but they do that for people that sit in a wheelchair, but they maybe don't do that for people normally that just have break the leg, because we don't think about things like that.
Exactly, Fatmir. Yeah.
What Magnus is saying is so true and so powerful. Just the thing that, accessibility, if we make something accessible for me who have a visually impairment, then that same kind of thing will be so much easier and so much clearer for you without a disability. So everyone will benefit from this. We have every one of us things in our homes that usually from the beginning started as a disability aid from the beginning. For example, I don't believe anyone in Sweden lives without at least 1 or 3 or 4 remote controls at home. That started as a disability kit from the beginning. And companies like big, huge billion-dollar companies have also seen the importance of working with accessibility. For example, tech companies like Apple, you can have a product today, you take it out of the box and it's accessible if you are visually impaired, if you have hearing aids, mobility problems or whatever, it's built in. And what happened, you know, it's for me, when I started using accessibility in my, for example, in my iPhones, in my telephone, I had to buy first a telephone, and then I had to buy a certain program, and this telephone was supposed to have this operating system that could support it, and then I had to buy a license for this program.
Okay.
And this is
You need some patience.
yeah, it takes patience, and here comes the thing that made me different towards my friends, because after a year, my friends they switched to another telephone that was more hip and more you know in the time, but I couldn't because this costs so much to do all of this, and it takes so much time, so I couldn't. And the year after that, they switched telephone again. What happens? Nokia just missed out in for example, the 2 telephones that I could have bought, but I could not because of
Then you
my
had to.
accessibility features.
And today is that.
And today I can buy a new iPhone or a new phone whatever I want, and I have accessibility built in because these huge tech companies have understood that here is a market.
Yeah.
Here is money to be made. And I buy a new phone every year.
And exactly. I don't know if that's something to recommend, but that's
No.
another question. But I would say that I mean, what you're pointing out here is also to what we talked about before. That actually also seeing, I mean, these people or experts in the different areas as a potential colleague or employee, because understanding that you can improve your products and thus having a larger market. I mean, it's not more difficult than that, right?
Think about it. Just in Europe, there are just about 30 million people with visual impairment or blindness. Is that a customer base you really can afford to ignore?
And exactly, and I think I mean both you all three have talked about this. I mean, this how strong purchasing power do you say this group have? I mean, you just.
Would you like to start, Magnus, and then I?
Yeah, I can start. I mean,
Top
if you just go on the number. So when you're going to be 65 years old, 51% have some sort of disability. So that's you having your big market. But if you're just looking at an airport like Copenhagen Airport had last year over 100,000 people with assistance service, had booked assistance service. So that's a huge group with tourist people that go into Denmark and go into Sweden and so on. So it's a huge group that we just need to work with and see where is the business. And that's really the most important thing, because we are so focused maybe on the disability and don't focus on the guest. Yeah.
I just have to comment that, because I mean, obviously we should focus on the people, not whatever they have as whatever. I mean, again, that discussion is present whenever we are talking with, I don't know.
But then you're getting the right answers, because if I'm asking Fatmir, what do I need to do for you to be my guest, then he's going to tell me exactly what he need when he go in a restaurant, what he like. Or if someone asks me that have a stick, I was going to say, if you ask me if I need to try to sit I need to try to sit in the bathroom. If the hotel was asked me that directly, I would always book that hotel. So that's the focus. We need to starting not be afraid to asking and speak about the products.
Fatmir.
You know, you asked if people with disabilities actually can afford or could be a customer like everyone else. I started in the beginning with talking about perspectives. Like every one of us has to buy clothes and food, and we would like to travel and have gadgets and everything. But what makes a difference is, for example, when I'm banking, here is the thing. I cannot choose, for example, a bank according to percentage. Okay, I get 1%, and for people who knows business, who knows finances, you know that 1% in 5 years, 10 years, it makes a huge difference. What I do my business on when it comes to banking is accessibility. Which bank, which finance will give me the best accessibility and give me control of my own stocks, of my own company, of my own business
Service. Yeah.
and service.
Yeah.
That's how I choose, and this is where I mean everyone does. Even people with disability or not, we are all the same. The thing that makes a difference is like, okay, I cannot see and I use my guide dog. I also have to buy food for him too.
Of course, yeah.
And
You need
if
to
I can speak, say, I mean, what we've seen with Handiscover through the years is also that, I mean, you were asking, do people with disabilities have money? And yes, of course, we are just part of the normal population. Some are poor, some are rich, some are very rich. We have had some bookings worth hundreds of thousands of crowns. We have some bookings for €50 stay. You know, we represent society. So some are very rich, some are normally rich, some are poor, some are very poor. We can't put people with disability in a box. And it's why the purchasing power of our community is very wide. And but the wish to do things is the same as for the rest of society. We want to be able to travel. We want to be able to eat. We want to be able to go to school, to university, to the cinema, to the football game, etc.
And I think you are wrapping this up very well, because this is something you need to see people as people and wherever they are and whoever they are, and seeing them as a possible customer, adjusting your business offers maybe, but it's going to be a great benefit, because you're going to probably find even bigger groups to attract once you're thinking about different ways of producing, offering, whatever. I just want to note here that Gabriella is writing here in the chat that 120 million people in Europe have a disability of some sort. And 70%, as you said before, is something you can see. So whoever's looking at this and watching us now, take this bear this in mind, because this is a opportunity, and it will be so much better for so many people. And again, bringing in, I mean, Fatmir, we have already talked about bringing in you as an expert and Handiscover. I think you will do a lot of good work, because we will definitely use you in getting our business more attractive. So thank you to the panel so much, to Magnus, Sebastian, and Fatmir. Thank you for joining us here. And I will move up to the table again. But while I do that, I want you to show the answers on the polls, or the questions I asked you before, to see what you answered. And with this, I would like to welcome up our last speaker on this, or interview person. And so welcome Roko Kursar, chairman of the Functional Support Committee for the City of Malmö. That was a long word, but you are so welcome anyways.
Hello, Fatmir. Let's do a No, it's okay. I'll sit there. I'm just gonna give you my elbowing for Corona.
So,
Do it this as well.
yes.
Hi.
I think we can stand here.
Here.
Actually, because I was thinking that, or a little bit on the, because I have so many questions to you. Malmö,
Shoot.
how are we doing in this?
Well, listen. I mean, society in general is lacking behind. I mean, we have come a far way from the situation our society was in 40, 50, 60 years ago. But I mean, we're still a long way to go to reach the goal of having a accessible society. But in Malmo, we have identified this, and this is absolutely the foremost important step to be able to say, yes, we acknowledge that we are lacking behind and we have so much work to do.
I did ask both Magnus and Fatmir what should I ask the politician actually responsible for this? And you got quite a good review though. So, but I obviously there is so much more to do. But could we use? I mean, even if we haven't, we have a long way to go. Can we inspire others to actually have these questions more on the top of the agenda? As we've heard, this is important for so many different.
Yes, this is about awareness. It's about awareness that accessibility is not, you said it here before, it's not about feeling sorry for someone. It's about rights. It's about human rights. It's about civil rights. It's about the right to live in a society where you're not excluded. It's a right to accessibility to the society you live in. And here we have a long way to go, as I said, and it's about awareness, but it's also about doing some real work on the subjects and not only talking about them. And I mean, I love talking about them because awareness in itself is a very important tool. I mean, if you contemplate that. A so large part of society is in fact excluded. And would you ever tolerate that kind of injustice for any other group in society? I mean, this society we have, it hasn't just fallen from the sky. We have developed it. We have built it, and we have built it in an accessible way. So we have to tear down those barriers. We have to talk more about awareness. I mean, you said here before about making our businesses and our market economy aware about. Listen, these are consumers. And that is so true. And it's in that way, awareness is very important. And it's about not only physical accessibility, but also social accessibility. About how hard is it to find a job? Do the employers do they judge you? Do they see your disability instead of your ability? Where is the focus?
Where is focused? And on that matter, I know that, I mean, this is a question that both the public sector and the private sector is not very good at, if we put it mildly. I mean, if we look back into our organizations in the huge Malmö city, but also in our, obviously, in a small company as us, how come, if we do believe these questions are so important, why don't we see to that we actually employ more of different kinds of skills or disabilities, whatever you want to call it? I will say that this is a possibility because you will get new thoughts. But how can we overcome those biases?
Well, I think it's important to acknowledge that we live in a society that discriminates. It's very important to acknowledge that. First, when you are in that position, to acknowledge that, you can do something about it. When you then want to do something about it, as I said, how much focus is it on disability and how much focus is on the ability? Do we discriminate when we encounter a person that has some kind of disability or or some kind of function variety that makes him or her different from the norm, and how do we as a society, and then when I'm talking about society, I'm talking about the public and the private sector, how do we how do you say in English,
What do you
how do we tillmötesgår
approach or
how do we approach that situation? I am totally confident that too much of the discrimination and exclusion in our society is because we are not aware. We are not aware that this society we have built in itself is excluding people. And these are the questions we have to be aware about to do something about them.
And that is really important, that the awareness, and also, I mean, you have this everyday life. We know this when we look at how we employ people. We put people in our closest network because it's easier. We know them. We know how they function. They talk and walk or think as us. And this is a problem. I mean, this is a problem in general, because if I have 10 of me, we're not going to make any business. I'm going to tell you that. So we need to rethink how we and how do we meet? Where do we find these really easy meeting places to see that these are people I want in my organization?
Exactly, and that is why it's also a question of diversity and how you approach diversity in itself. And I mean, I am of the belief that diversity is a strength. It is the core of being a human being, a unique individual. With all that includes for me as a person, that also that is also applicable for everyone. And if we have that kind of thinking, I think that is a very important step on seeing that diversity in itself is a strength. And I'm not talking about it some kind of slogan. I'm really saying that the meetings between our differences strengthens us as individuals as well, and we in our part can do something from the things we've learned in those encounters.
Exactly. What would you say finally would be the next step? I mean, as you said in the beginning, Malmö hasn't reached the full top yet. What is the next step? What will you do more of?
Well, we are like a steam engine. We in Malmö, I mean, because we have identified this as a very big problem in our society here in Malmö. So we are investing a lot of not only resources but also time and energy to find partners. We're in a project together with Handiscover, and we have here in our municipality in the city, we have new coordinators working with accessibility. They have started working this last year, and they have made how do you say, kartläggning?
Mapping.
Yeah, mapping of the situation in the city. And I think, I mean, it's good to have laws. I mean, that's a must-have, of course. But you have to be able to implement the laws in a real sense. So what we have seen is that yes, we have a lot of different areas in our municipality that works with accessibility in itself, because it's law and it's inaccessibility is illegal. But we have to have some kind of joint strategy for the whole municipality to work in one way or in one course, and for me this is obvious. The goal is to reach accessible society,
and also maybe to employ more people that actually do understand what could be done in a better way because they themselves have
Yeah.
the different
Malmö,
disabilities.
yes,
and
Malmö in that sense is also a forerunner. We have a goal set in the city that for the 2 coming years we're going to employ 60 citizens that have some kind of disability
To understand
in a
better.
city.
Very
Not once again, not because we feel sorry for
No.
them. No, because
No,
they are
will help
valuable.
you. Yeah.
They will
I
help
totally
us.
understand.
We
Yeah.
are looking at their
I think
abilities.
we just have to turn it around.
Yeah.
It's a help.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I look forward to follow this work and these 60 people that will be a part of Malmö organization, because I think that will really make a huge difference. So, and thank you for everything you do, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Yasmin.
So with this, I'm going to leave the word and stage, actually, in this case, to Gabriella Petrassi from Handiscover. I mean, you just launched your website.
Yes.
And you will give us two really hands-on tips, what you can think about, all of you looking at this and wanting to do something maybe already today. Otherwise, you can use Handiscover, right?
Exactly. So what I would say, and also connecting to what the speakers and the panel had said today, is live it. I think that's a really good advice. What you can do practically, you can borrow a wheelchair, take it to your workplace, try it, what works, what doesn't work. And it will change your perspective, definitely. So that's one thing I would definitely advise. The second thing, which is maybe a little bit more corona safe, is to visit our website that we're launching today, accessibility.handiscover.com. We're very proud of this website. And I also added the link in the chat. I think you can see it. Here you can find all the information about our new accessibility management program. We can help you with accessibility data, gathering, verifying, managing. We can help you with education. It is important to work with a building, but you need to educate your staff to be able to make this work, make this connect. You need to understand. And then we have content creation. How do you reach out to your customers? How do you explain what you have? This is very, very important. So this is to name a few. You can find more information on our website. I also want to highlight our new accessibility standard, which we've developed. It is mostly towards hotel at the moment, but there's a lot of information here that concerns all businesses. And today we will develop this towards other verticals as well. We want to develop this towards other verticals as well, looking for shopping malls, arenas, offices. So if you're interested in this, we are looking for pilot cases. So please contact us. This standard is for free. So you just need to go to our website and register, and we will give you access to this standard. So if there's something that you should take with you from this 60 minutes, is how important it is to include accessibility in all areas of your company, and that really small changes can make a huge difference. So please visit our website. The link will come up later after this, hopefully. And contact us and we will be happy to help you. Thank you.
So thank you so much. I'm so happy that we have been part of this. We will definitely use your services and learn more about this and actually using the wheelchair to understand how to close the doors. I understood that that's just a brain, yesterday
tricky,
I was just totally walking around in all our toilets yesterday, understanding how to, so I think it's a great idea. And I think it broadens our mind in so many ways. So thank you so much. And as we have this last slide with all the information, you will have all the information sent out. If there is further questions and answers that you haven't seen yet in the chat, we will send that out as well. And please have this in mind, because this is important. It's not a matter of being kind, you guys. I mean, we want to be kind anyways. I hope you are, but this is something else. It's much bigger, and I do hope that everyone actually takes this.
Yeah.
Fatmir, yes. Yes.
When started this webinar with, that was.
We can't hear Fatmir.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes. Now.
Yes. Okay. Great. You know, I just wanted to add one more thing before we close up, and it's the thing that you started with, Jasmine, from the beginning when you said that accessibility. Who is it for? And how many do we actually reach working with accessibility? And we just got a figure like around 120 million people in Europe has some kind of disability. About 2 in 10 in Sweden have some kind of disability. But for example, if I'm not allowed to visit a restaurant with my dog, I mean, who goes to a restaurant alone?
Exactly.
I use my guide dog to get to the restaurant, but there I will meet up with friends and family. And if I cannot come in with my wheelchair or with my guide dog, or I cannot book a travel with my team, you're not just losing me, one person as a customer, you're losing a group. Always. You're losing a group. You're losing a huge amount of people. If I have a birthday or something to celebrate, I'm not talking about Corona times now, but later, I usually have at least 15 people, 20 people. And if I don't go there because it's inaccessible, then you will lose a whole group.
Exactly. It's not just 2 of 10. It's more.
Yeah,
right?
it's lots of
Yes,
more.
yes, yes. And as we said, I mean, it's going to broaden so much more. It's not just, you know, trying to make it for 1 or 2 persons. This is a much bigger picture, and that's why it's important to bring on these thoughts in the beginning.
And also, if I cannot come into a shopping mall or a restaurant or a hotel or anywhere with my wheelchair, how will moms and dads with their kids and those trollers, what do you call them?
Yeah,
trollers.
Yeah.
How will you do that? You know, all of a sudden you become parents, and now you see how inaccessible the world can be.
Exactly. And all I mean, we have an aging population.
Yeah.
I mean,
also.
we know that for sure. Yeah, it's a lot to think about. I definitely have a lot to think about myself, and I hope that you have as well. So thank you so much. Thank you for doing this. Thank you, Fatmir. Thank you, Magnus. Thank you, Sebastian. And of course, all of you who have been attending this seminar. And Roko, of course. I can see you in the dark over there. So thank you, and I hope I see you soon again. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.